Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Great article from Tech Radar. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So we're in 2025 and the gloves are coming off. I got to call it what it is. T-Mobile has arrived, right? Even though they're not going from challenger to champion yet, the network we've all been waiting on, it's here. This is the most competitive network moving forward that Verizon and AT&T will have ever compete against. And that's why I say the gloves are off. Everything that AT&T and Verizon have enjoyed before, it's over, right? For them to say, especially Verizon to say, okay, I'm stronger here, I'm still stronger there, I still have this. No, everything now is fair game. T-Mobile is going to compete for it, and Verizon is going to have to compete back. So my favorite Verizon deal this week isn't the iPhone 16. It's the overlooked older model. So Verizon is looking at everything. They're looking at inventory stock. They're looking at moving older inventory while still remaining attractive and trying to compete. So the iPhone 15 Plus is still a great buy, and here's why. And there's a lot of great information in this article that I'll leave in the description for you guys to check out. So you can probably get you can get the iPhone 15 Plus free with an unlimited data plan at Verizon. And like you guys have been seeing with the right qualifications, you can get that deal with a broken phone or any phone in any condition, right? That's very heavily pushed by Verizon. And the fact that they are pushing that as aggressively as they are, and we're now in Q1 and they're still very heavily advertising it, that feeds into the gloves are off. They're not coming off. The gloves are off. They're competing now. They can see in the numbers what we've been seeing all along. T-Mobile is taking share. They're the growth company, right? Verizon has recently said they want to be more balanced in volume and finances. They still want to protect their finances at all costs, but they know they have to start growing because T-Mobile is growing at a furious pace. So the difference between the carriers' networks is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's still there. I understand. I'm looking at it at scale. But looking at the reports, right? Looking at OpenSignal, Ookla, and then Root Metrics, T-Mobile is getting better on Root Metrics too. Is Verizon still ahead by a large amount? Yes, but it hasn't deteriorated T-Mobile's business. That's the problem that Verizon is running into. Verizon can spend billions and billions and billions of dollars investing in critical state-of-the-art equipment, battery, backup generators, have 90% of their sites with backup power, right? Deploy C-band as quickly as humanly possible, but it still has not shifted or deteriorated T-Mobile's business model in any way, shape, or form. In fact, recently, as of a few months ago, T-Mobile gave us an update at the Capital Markets Day, and they doubled nearly most of their numbers. So that is no fact of the matter. The network, whether you like it or not, that's up to you. That's why we have competition. That's why the consumer has options. But T-Mobile's business is not in any way, shape, or form affected by what Verizon is doing with the network. And I've maintained, and I still maintain, that Verizon will have the best 5G network once it's all said and done. I believe they will have the best private 5G network. I believe they will have the best home broadband network across, right, the nation. But it has not in any way, shape, or form derailed T-Mobile's success, and that's the problem that Verizon faces. T-Mobile is getting better. They're trying to get to where Verizon is today. T-Mobile is adding backup batteries to sites. They're adding backup generators to sites. They're doing that gradually, and they will continue to do so. The problem is for Verizon, as T-Mobile continues to grow at the size and scale that they are, as the network gets better, it allows T-Mobile the opportunity to retain those customers, where previously those customers would have went back to Verizon. So that's the problem that Verizon faces and that they have to be careful with. T-Mobile, they are hell-bent on having the lowest churn in the industry. They say it over and over again, and they're looking to make certain moves to establish that. to really say we have the absolute lowest churn in the industry every quarter, that is a tall task for a company that's operating in a carrier light. So now, like I stated, going back to it, the gloves are off. Verizon is going to have to compete completely differently, and I think they're going to have to get even more aggressive. I don't know if that's going to detail price cuts. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm sure Verizon is monitoring that. Companies are already filing lawsuits against T-Mobile about pushing the 20% cheaper narrative. So it bothers the competition. T-Mobile has a great balance sheet. They have less debt than a lot of companies out there, even with the Sprint purchase. It's bothering companies. So you're going to see Verizon remain as aggressive as they've been, right? I don't really think they're going to take the foot off the gas, and you can see it here in this article, right? 15s, 15 pluses, even the 16 Pros, you name it, Verizon will give it to you with a guarantee of any phone, any condition. Of course, there's certain qualifications to the device itself, but Verizon will do it. And they're running a promo at the same time to pay off your devices if they're in good condition with the carrier you're with. So it's finally being realized. And I also think at the same time, I think AT&T will also have to become a bit more aggressive in all of this, right? As T-Mobile is trying to position itself as the value player and the best churn, as Verizon is trying to compete back against that, I think AT&T will also have to shift and better position itself more aggressively. I don't know if that includes more value into their plans like perks, et cetera. I don't know what that looks like, but they also have to keep an eye out on the market. And this whole guarantee, this whole AT&T guarantee is not going to fit into that narrative. It's really competitive now. And all it took was T-Mobile to get to scale with the network. Over the next 24 to even, let's say, 24 to 36 months, that T-Mobile network will be unrecognizable versus what you may have experienced 10 years ago, right? You're gonna have a scaled network with Starlink sprinkled in the parts where terrestrial networks just don't build out generally, and that is a recipe for a competitive as it gets. Right, I fully expect the wireless industry / cable, because cable's in there too with the home broadband. I expect that to be the most aggressive, competitive industry in the entire business world, at least for the U.S. I think it's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think it's going to be a lot of lawsuits thrown out because it's just a very tight, saturated space, right? I think there's going to be more competitive MVNOs that'll come out of it, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun over the next few years. But Verizon is starting to sense. They're starting to feel it. They're really starting to feel it, right? T-Mobile every quarter on the TFB side, T-Mobile for Business, we're beating our benchmark competitor. We're beating our benchmark competitor. That has to eventually be noticed by the benchmark competitor. They can't just keep winning, taking, right? If, for an example, as an analogy, if somebody keeps taking money out of your pocket, you're going to notice it eventually, right? And then you're going to put a stop to it. So this is where I think Verizon is starting to be in the middle, right? They're starting to say, okay, we can underbid T-Mobile for some of these city contracts, right? They're going to have to do it at some point. They can't just keep sitting back, twiddling their thumbs, and, oh, T-Mobile took another one. T-Mobile took another one. Oh, they took this one. Right? That's how much better T-Mobile's network is today. Verizon just can't keep saying that. So they're going to have to underbid. We saw that recently with the city contract in Texas. The city stated, we are getting a better deal on Verizon. So if T-Mobile was at that table, they would have likely underbid, right? So Verizon is starting to realize and see what it's going to take to really take that business into its next phase, right? If that's Verizon 3.0, whatever they're going to call it. And T-Mobile is going to be right there. They're going to be a bigger headache than they ever were at scale, right? There used to be sections and segments that Verizon enjoyed that they weren't touched. Nobody touched them. Nobody was competitive. They were just relaxed, complacent, comfortable, whatever you want to call it. But now that is a totally different ball game, and it's changing for the better for us, right? Even though pricing might not come down, but we will enjoy value, we will enjoy the fights, we will enjoy the back and forth. So be on the lookout for that. But Verizon is competing, and they're going to come very, very, very aggressive. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.